Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the FX Market Insight for Thursday, the 22nd of August. All right. Now, early doors here in the Asian session. Time to get set up for the next 24 hours. So just taking a look at the major analysis, right? Across the board, there's been no major change. If anything, dollar Swiss just turning up. Only just sort of slowly gliding to the top side. Kiwi is slowly but surely moving to the downside in the hourlies, but it's so minor that I've just got it sideways, but really it's very close to having all arrows pointing down, which is pretty good. Now, so what we've got is a situation where if you're looking at the general news, now Trump, obviously the Fed minutes were the big release yesterday or the big anticipation from everyone. So just looking at the minutes, and this is where it dominates a few of the headlines, the Fed was divided on a rate cut. Looks like several of the members of the board, the Fed board there, didn't want to change rates. There was actually a couple of rogues that wanted to cut by 0.5%. So what they did is they ended up doing it by a quarter, but then they wanted to make sure that the market didn't think this was a rate cutting cycle, right? So overall, the numbers a little bit hawkish, but when you come back to look at the overall picture, if I can bring it back to the main page there, you have a look at the overall picture, and there's not much happening on the dollar, right? You look at the dollar index here; it's just trading sideways. You know, if anything, you wouldn't think there was anything actually came out. Now the really crazy dollar yuan, it's really found a home here around 705, 706. I don't think we're going to see a significant move in that until we get the next round of Trump tweets. All right, that's what we sort of got to wait for now. But the whole thing is, the whole risk-off appetite that was sort of driving and everyone was panicking about recessions and all these sorts of things. Equity markets have turned back up again and, closing almost 1% up. You know what? There's a little bit of glow in the market and there's, they're all the media outlets are talking about risk appetite is back on. Okay, that's how fickle the market is when nothing's happening, right? And at the moment, to me, there's very little happening right at this point in time. If you look at the Aussie, it's just trading sideways. So you can be adjusting your support and resistance levels, but basically all you're doing is going to the next daily high or low. So this is where momentum really diffuses. This is the Kiwi where it's basically trading sideways, but going down about 5 or 10 pips a day. It's a little bit hard to work out what's going on. The market is very worried, I think, on Euro and Kiwi in particular, of a sharp bounce because there's no levels on the top side. So if anything does come out negative for the US dollar or positive for, say, China, these things could pop very quickly. And that's the hard part about being short, say, Euro or Kiwi at this point. Aussie seems to be doing its own thing, but those other pairs, they have potential to pop if there's even a little tweak of news. Dollar yen, well, it did just traded sideways through that trend line a couple of days ago, and it is just cruising sideways. So don't get overly excited at this point. This is one pair also. If there was positive comments out of, say, US, China, this thing would sort of probably jump a couple of 100 points because the market's short dollar yen, waiting for this thing to escalate, but it's not. And that's where it's just started to drift higher. But now it's found common ground around sort of 106.5, and that's where it's found a bit of a base. Sterling, well, if you just actually saw that news page, there was a little bit of hope in the sense that Germany is now coming back to talk to the UK about, say, maybe some sort of compromise deal. France has come over the top and said, we're not doing a deal. There's no fresh deal. So it's hard to work out what's going on. Sterling will continue to thrash about, I think. I still think by the end of this is over the next couple of weeks, I can see this back at 126 easy, right? I think all the negative comments of a no Brexit deal are already factored in. So I think if we start to get any inkling of some sort of deal, this thing will shoot to the top side. And I've sort of really highlighted the previous highs here around 122.10 as the key level. Now, dollar CAD, oil has sort of found some common ground here. That's the green sort of bars there. Might be a little bit hard to see, but it's just trading sideways now. Canadian CPI numbers came out much better than expected. You see that little blip down in dollar CAD, and then it just came straight sort of back. So, dollar CAD, the loonie, Well, mate, it's a little bit too hard to be calling at this stage. It's not exactly, it doesn't have like pure trading direction. So just a bit of a recap, the core market drivers, no surprises there. Those two geopolitical events still dominating. But one thing we've got, and this is, the markets are in limbo. As you can see, there's no sort of real matchup here across the board on the charts. The bottom pairs down here seem to be the best because they've got that central bank direction with them. But this is where you match up and go, okay, well, where's the activity going to be today? Well, I can tell you, it's pretty obvious. If you can't see it, well, we've got a bunch of European data out today. Okay, German flash manufacturing, followed by the Eurozone manufacturing PMI numbers, and then the ECB monetary policy meeting accounts. Now, these meeting accounts, when they first started changing the setup of releasing the extra information, they were pretty much really low impacting. Then some months ago, we had one that really divulged a lot more information and it went ballistic, right? So we're just going to play this out. We've got a bunch of data coming out there. There's also some PMI numbers coming out of the US, manufacturing ones. I haven't really highlighted them because they're not the top tier manufacturing numbers out of the US, but they could come into play as well. So that's where we are, guys. It's one of those weeks where you're just going to sit tight, wait for the opportunity. There's no build-up of momentum here. And once again, if you're looking at the dollar index as a bit of an indication, it's I'm not even sure what that blimp was yesterday, but it is not doing much. If the markets aren't doing much, it's very hard to generate income from a market that's not moving, okay, especially without any clear direction. So just be careful ripping into trading opportunities without some sort of clear direction there. All right, guys, that's it from me. We'll catch you later on. Cheerio.